Right. Apologise if this camera cuts out, but this is going to be a little task of trying to see how a motorcycle engine warms up when you just turn it on. So here we go. Following my rebuild on the carburetors. After tuning it started it with a choke, without the choke, so obviously it was running a little bit too rich. So I've adjusted it, so I let it warm up, obviously to operating temperature, adjusted that, then did the idling, adjusted it again. It's a bit of a faff, but got it done. So now you have to start it from cold with the choke, which is perfect, and when it's slightly warm and you pull the choke out, it stalls. So I think I've got it spot on. So as I say, I do apologise if one of these cameras cuts out while this is going. I'll see how it goes. I'm going to try and get it up to 80 degrees by just letting it tick over, and you'll slowly see it warm up. So, I don't know if you can actually see, but on the right hand side of the screen at the top, that's the maximum temperature it's recording in the viewfinder. So as you can see, the engine, it looks like it's glowing, but it's not. It's only 15 degrees, so you can see how it slowly warms up. You see the exhaust down the bottom left, that's it warming up as well. And because I haven't got the thermostat in the radiator just yet, you can see the radiator on the top left where the readout is. You can see that's slowly warming up as well. So this is only a tick over. This is doing about 1,200 RPM. That's it. That's all it's doing. I'm not going to touch it. I'm just going to let it slowly warm up. As I said earlier, you can see now it looks like it's glowing red up, but it's not. Top right hand, it says it's just got above 20 degrees, so that's in the hottest spot in the viewfinder. It looks like it's right in the centre of the back cylinder. So the coolant flow of this bike, as it comes from the pump, it goes round to the front cylinder, picks up a little bit of heat, and then goes to the back cylinder, picks up even more heat, and then it goes through the tube going to the radiator, which as you can see is getting warmer and warmer, but also goes through the carburetor heaters. And I don't know if you can see, but in between the two cylinders you've got the yellow pipe up the top, and there's a small little horizontal pipe right in the middle. That's the carburetor heater pipe. That's the one I'm paying interested to see if it actually does heat up the carburetors. It seems to do a lot better trick putting the thermal compound on it. It was tricky, but I managed to do it. So you can see on the radiator now, which is the top left, there's a pipe that's just on the bottom side of it. You can just start to see it starting to warm up. That's how little fluid coolant goes through it when it's ticking over. Not a great deal. So as that water starts to go back to the pump, that should start to warm up the front cylinder even more than the back one, as the coolant gets more of an even temperature. That bit with where it says Honda written on it, right in the middle of the V-twin, and sort of like the front next to the foot peg, that's where the alternator is. So yeah, that does get warm for a bit, but I've got no electrical load on it at all, so it's just charging the battery. It'd be interesting to see how hot that actually gets. Yeah, so if any of you got these nice little 125 Hondas, it's a shame they don't make them anymore. But after the carburetor tweaking, rejetting them, it's actually ticking over very nicely. I've never had it tick over that nice before. It's always slightly misfired, gone up a little bit or gone down in revs. This is just a nice constant speed. It's all worth it in the end. Yeah, I'm sorry I forgot to mention the temperature on the right hand side. Top one is the maximum recording in the viewfinder, the bottom one is the minimum in the viewfinder. The top left, that's the centre, that's where that circle is, right in the middle. That's that point that it's measuring. So the hottest point it's found is almost 35 degrees, but where the sort of the top of the crankshaft, probably where the oil is, it's only 23 degrees. Right, so what I've noticed so far is it's warmed up quite quickly, so about 30-35 degrees, and that's starting to struggle a bit. The reason for that is, as the engine's obviously working, revolving round, the oil is still cold at the bottom of the engine. So the engine, well, the actual side of the cylinders have got up to 43 degrees, but the engine oil hasn't yet. That's why I've aimed the central part of the actual thermometer camera just on top of the crankshaft. You can see it's 30 degrees. So we're starting to get a bit more of a gap, I think, of a good 14 degrees. So as the side of the cylinders keep going up and up in temperature, hopefully the crankcase temperature should go up the same. So it should keep a nice 14 degree difference. So we'll see how that goes. See how the when the engine gets up to about 80 degrees C, we'll see what the oil temperature gets up to. It'll be useful to know. So the side of the cylinders might feel nice and hot to the touch, but the oil still hasn't got up to its maximum operating temperature, or its protection temperature, I should say. to 50 degrees. The engine's still ticking over 1,200 RPM, so it hasn't picked up speed, it hasn't dropped any speed. Still ticks over quite nicely. Sorry about the noise from the wind chimes. It's been windy today. At least it's mild, nice 10 degrees. carburetors are starting to get a bit warmer now. I'm not too sure. What I'll do is I'll put my hand in the frame just to show you where the carburetors are, because you can't really see on the viewfinder where they are. So what I'll do is I'll just use the tips of my fingers from the top of the camera and you'll see where the carburetors are. They might look like they're just starting to heat up, a nice light pink colour. So hang on, let me see if I can get it in the viewfinder. Oh, there we go. So about just by the tips of my fingers is where the carburetor, the back cylinder is. And the right hand cylinder is about, well, the front cylinder side, it's that one. So you see, we're just starting to warm up slightly, so I think that thermal compound has definitely worked, it's definitely done its job. You can just start to see the cylinder heads warming up now, which are the bits just above where the cylinders are. That's obviously because they're connected to the top of the cylinder where the valves are, and that's where the oil is. So it's all starting to circulate around a lot more. So the gap has got a bit slightly closer now. The water temperature is 51 degrees and the crankcase temperature is 40 degrees. Because it was about, I think it was about 13 to 14 degrees difference. It's now only 10. That's why it's starting to take a bit longer to warm up. The actual coolant's actually starting to warm the oil up. As I say, this is just tick over. You give this bike a quick blast down the dual carriageway, it'll take it back 2-3 minutes to warm up. But the oil might still be cold. I'll just check the engine RPM, see if it's picked up slightly. Picked up only a little amount. It still says about 1,200 RPM, but it's just above it on the needle now. So I'm guessing as the oil's getting warmer, it's less resistance, so it can turn a bit freely. I suppose as soon as it hits the 85 or 90 degree mark of the coolant, that's when the coolant fan will start kicking in. That's just behind the radiator. Then it might start to even at temperature, but by the looks of it, that's going to take quite a while to get up to that. So what I'll do is just before it gets to say about 80 degrees, I'll pick the camera up and I'll go around to the right hand side of the bike. We'll just have a look at the temperatures on the exhaust and quite close to the cylinders if we can get it where the carburetor heaters are. See if we get a good view of if they're actually doing anything or not. Right, sorry about that earlier. The battery did go flat, which I expected it to. So the core temperature of the bike's now going down to 27. It's been off for about half an hour. This has kept its heat. Radiator hose got cooler. Let's have a look at the carburetors. They're going to be warm. They're going to be warm from the heat because they're between the engines. Right, let's see if we can get this started. Because I've been warmed up. Let's have a go. I should just start this. There you go. That does quite well. So yeah, I'm going to take over a little bit. It should catch up and get going again. It's already picking up in temperature. Hang on, let's have a look at the other side then. As you can see, the exhaust has gone cold. Not obvious. Yeah, I'm holding two cameras here, it's quite fun that. That's the clutch cover. Still cool, you see, so even with it running for half an hour and then cooling for half an hour, it's still gone cold. There's the carburetors, which is 19 degrees. I apologise if the picture's not very good. I can't really see inside there. Trying to balance two cameras is quite fun. Oh well, that concludes the warming up of the bike. Couldn't really see a lot. Just did what you expected it to. Just warm up gently. Yeah, as you can see, the radiator heater matrix starting to warm up again. That's because there's no thermostat in there, but it doesn't make any difference because it's not going anywhere. I'm expecting that hopefully next week and I can fit that in. There we go then. Right. Hope you liked the videos. I mean, I've never seen anyone actually do this before, but I can probably see now why they didn't do it. It's interesting. But that's all it is really. Thanks for watching guys, take care.